Is the housing market cooling off? That's what we're going to cover in this monthly market report. This is for you if you're a real estate agent or a financial advisor interested in market data to help you advise a client, or perhaps you are that potential buyer or seller looking for some direction. I'm Paulo Rodriguez. I've been a mortgage professional since 2005, and here is the market data that you need to make an informed buying or selling decision or help your client do the same. Is the housing market cooling off? Ojo Labs released this. The US housing market continues to be ultra competitive even as new COVID cases surge, but new data shows the level of competition and ensuing price increases may be cooling off just slightly. Data shows that 49.6% of homes sold for more than the initial list price in July, far ahead of the number reported in July of 2020 when 26.8% of homes were sold for more than the initial asking price, but below June's total when 50.4% of homes were sold for more than the initially listed price. If you graphically lay this out, this is what they're trying to say. Go back to July 2020 and 26.8% of homes were sold over list price. In June, 50.4%, and in July, 49.6%. So there is your cooling off market, as they call it, but barely cooling at all. Still one of two homes sold over list price, and certainly that's not what I would consider a cooling market. Here are some graphs that describe the market we're in. Let's start with the newly monthly listing counts. This data goes back to 2017 and each line represents a different year. What you see here is that in a normal market, listing activity peaks in May and then tapers off throughout the rest of the calendar year. The orange line is 2020, and as you can see, it's anything but normal. You see the April dip due to COVID, and thereafter the number of new listings that came to market never exceeded that of prior years. And of course, we've seen inventory shortages in the market ever since. Now let's look at what happened this year. Here is 2021 in green. Similar trajectory thus far, but just like last year, we are below historical numbers in terms of new listing activity. And that is one of the factors fueling the appreciation that we have seen of late. Now, what's the moral of the story here? Well, we're now into the time period during the year in which listing activity begins to fall, and that implies we're going to see more upward pressure on prices. Only if new listings start to climb and get in line with what we've seen in previous years, then should we see price stability. We've seen some experts come out and say that the market is cooling off, and that statement really lacks a lot of context. If you mean that July numbers were slower than June, sure, that's an accurate statement, but here are 5 reasons this is anything but a normal market. Reason number 1, mortgage rates. Low mortgage rates have certainly fueled demand over the past year. If you look at rates by the decade, that's what a normal rate looks like. Certainly an interest rate in the 6s would be normal, and something in the 4s would be low by historical standards. If you go back to the 70s or 80s, 8% was not considered a very high rate. And just look at today, we sit at 2.87% on the average 30-year fixed. So although we are not at all-time lows, in terms of rates, we certainly wouldn't say we're in a normal market by historical standards. Reason number 2, home price appreciation. Are we heading into a more normal market with home price appreciation? Well, if you look at the home price appreciation by year, according to this Black Knight study going back to 1995, we're at 14% home price appreciation, which is higher than any other year on the study. And when you compare that to the average appreciation of 4%, which you can see by the orange dotted line, I'm sure you can agree we've got a long way to go before we return to a normal market. Reason number 3, months supply of inventory. The National Association of Realtors said this: month supply refers to the number of months it would take for the current inventory of the homes on the market to sell given the current sales pace. Historically, 6 months of supply is associated with moderate price appreciation, and a lower level of months supply tends to push up prices more rapidly. So where do we sit today? Just 2.6 months of supply on the market. This looks all the way back to 2011, that's 10 years. Once again, far from being close to a normal market. Reason number 4, days it takes to sell a home. Since April, it has taken only 17 days to sell a home. Take a look at this graph going back to March of 2019. Even if you look at the highest number there, which is 49 days to sell a home, that's still a very reasonable number. But 17 days is ridiculously short, and that explains the emotional roller coaster buyers are currently on as they try to secure a contract. Once again, far from being close to normal. Reason number 5, number of offers per listing. Take a look at this graph from the National Association of Realtors showing the number of offers that are made on average on a listing all across the country. Typically, we've seen that range around a couple of offers on the average listing, but we're at 4.5 offers right now. Needless to say, we're far from normal. So with all that said, as we enter the latter stages of the year, what are experts saying about home price forecasts in 2022? The average forecast from the Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the National Association of Realtors is 5.5%. So those of you that are saying, or those of you that have clients that are saying, home prices are just rising too fast right now, I'm going to wait until next year when things cool off just a bit. Well, you can wait until next year, but it's just going to cost you more. And you want to keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, about a year ago, to those that are sitting on the fence, I said the same thing in one of my monthly reports, and sure enough, look at where we are today. So that's a wrap for the September monthly market report. I appreciate you listening in. Forward, subscribe, share. I'll be back next month, but before you go, if you're looking to purchase or refinance or know someone that is and would like a no-cost consultation with me personally, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to analyze if your debt is structured in the most optimal way or if there's room for improvement. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.